I think it was Forrest Gump who famously observed that commercial banking is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Well, maybe it wasn't Forrest Gump who said that, and maybe that's not what was said at all. But if you want to know why I say that, and if you've ever had the feeling that the banker or lender that you're talking to is more concerned about the needs of the institution that they work for than what you need, then maybe this video is for you. I spent over 20 years on the front lines of commercial banking. I started as a small business banker. I got formally credit trained by that bank, and I worked my way up through the industry as a middle market banker, a corporate banker. I even did a stint as a international banker for a few years before I became the market president for a major metropolitan area working for a rather large community bank based in the southeastern United States. Through all that experience, I can share with you 100% with 100% confidence that when you're talking to a banker, that banker is not working for you. They are working 100% for the bank. All the metrics they're measured by, all the parameters in which they meet with you, everything that they have, everything that they do is set up by the bank for the benefit of the bank, period. That's all there is to it. In fact, a lot of people don't realize that the number one objective that every banker has, as stated by the bank that they work for, is to make sure that the bank doesn't lose money. These days, unfortunately, a lot of that has to do with preventing fraud. But sort of related and correlated to that is to make sure that the bank doesn't lose money on loans. And for that very reason, that is a lot of why you end up with it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. Depending on which bank you're going to and which time of year and whatever circumstances may be going on, the bank may have a different appetite that day. And in fact, it's actually pretty rare that you will find especially these days, a bank that has a sort of a uniform way of approaching credit. It seems to change all the time because it does. And that's not necessarily a criticism or an indictment of the banks. It's just the way that individual banks manage the risk that is inside of their bank. And that's a good thing for the industry as a whole because we want to make sure that in the United States, we continue to have as many banks as we have, and banks that are super huge and technology forward all the way to your local credit union and community bank that you find in small towns and all the banks in between. There's thousands of them, but at the end of the day, they're all different. Again, that's why I say that it's like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. A 1099 banker is a different kind of banker, or a banker nonetheless, but not a banker that you may think of when you think of a commercial banker that works at the bank. We're all, like me, formally credit trained. We understand the language, we understand internal bank processes, we understand the regulatory environment that banks operate in. We understand that there are appetites for various industries or geographies or loan sizes or loan types or whatever the case may be. That changes. Banks merge, they get acquired, they grow, they bring on new services and so on. We stay on top of all that and we understand how all that works. So a 1099 banker, though, is in place because we at 1099 bankers break down the divided loyalty that you find when you go to a particular bank. Um, there is no loyalty or affiliation with any particular lender or any bank at 1099 bankers. We're all independent, and some of us are retired bankers. Some of us are stay-at-home parents who worked in banking for a number of years, learned all the financial acumen and all the jargon and vernacular that bankers use, and maybe decided to stay at home, raise a family, or some may have left banking to start their own businesses. But nonetheless, they all have these set of skills that are no longer being used. And 1099 bankers wants to make sure that those are skill sets that are still available in the small business arena. It is very much true that the 80-20 rule does apply very firmly in the United States, whereas 80% of the businesses are small businesses, and most of those businesses do not have, for one reason or another, whether their size or revenue or profitability or whatever, don't have a CFO or another person dedicated to staying on top of the banks, staying on top of banking and all that stuff. Um, and that's where we come in. We come in just like a 1099 employee you might hire for another part of your business for seasonal work or whatever the case may be. You hire that person to come in, take care of something, and you don't have to hire them as a full-time employee. When they're done, they move on to something else and come back when you need them. We're the same way. And so when you go to 1099 Bankers and you set up a consultation with us, we will quickly be able to determine whether or not we're going to be able to help you, whether we're a good fit for what your needs are. We do so, we help in small businesses in three different ways. We have one tier that is just a quick fix triage kind of situation where we get together. You tell us what the problem is. Oftentimes we can either make a presentation for you or make a tweak to your financials or tell you how to think about something a little bit differently, and we move on. The second tier is a little more involved in that, where we internally call it our Shark Tank coaching session, where you're actually pretty good at dealing with banks when you find the right one. So we will gather all your financials, put all that stuff together, help you put the presentations together, tell you what to say, how to say it, and send you off on your own, and you can go run your own process. Our third tier is our most comprehensive tier. That also starts with a free consultation. But with that tier, we'll just take the whole thing off your plate for you. We'll identify the best types of lenders for what you need. We'll make sure that you're not taking on too much debt for your business where you end up in a long-term situation where maybe you have too much leverage. And we will run a very competitive process to make sure you get the best terms, the best rate, all that stuff. And we will take it all the way through close. We'll make sure that everybody gets aligned and everything closes on the day it's supposed to close. And we'll make sure that the money hits your account from that loan. But we won't stop there. We will make sure that before we disengage, that we will leave you with a really good understanding of who the bank is that you're working with, how you interface with that bank. We'll give you a high-level overview of some of the services you should be looking at, and we'll leave you with some numbers for us so that if things don't start to work out, you can just call us back and we'll help get things back in line. But that's how 1099 Bankers works. Our bankers, again, are typically folks who have been in the business for a while, but we try to have bankers who are, in some cases, generalists, but we have bankers who specialize in a number of different things, whether that's by industry or by SBA expertise or asset-based lending or whatever the case may be. We'll represent you as best as we can. And in fact, when we come along, the banks actually really do like to interact with us because everything that we bring to them is already in a language they understand, and it's typically a package that they can just turn around and talk to their internal people and get it through the process. And sometimes we end up with a no, but it's usually a quick no. And if we don't end up with a no and we end up with a satisfactory bank situation for you, that usually does come to fruition and is executed as cleanly as possible. So if that's something that sounds interesting to you and you think that maybe we can help you out, take a visit to our site, www.1099bankers.com, and set up a free consultation. My name's Doug Bowman. I'm the founder of the company. And 9 times out of 10, that consultation will be with me. So if you do that, I very much look forward to meeting you, learning about your business, how you started it, why you started it, where you want it to go, how you're going to get out of it someday. And we'll just take it from there. But thank you very much for watching, and I hope to meet you soon.